I'm gonna do a quick intro and then we'll just get straight to it, and
Okay.
man, yeah, I appreciate your time, man. Thanks for
Oh
coming today.
man, pleasure, bro. You know that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So it feels great to have, the great Keyon Harrold with us in the shed. Keyon Harrold has been, just an amazing, musician, around the world playing trumpet. He's one of the musicians that I look up to in terms of, his ability to really be super expressive on the horn, soulful musician as well, and has such an accomplished list of musicians and all-time greats that he's played with, going from Beyonce, Rihanna, Mac Miller, to man, the list goes on, man. Who else, man? I can keep going.
I'll say Erykah Badu,
Erykah Badu, Common,
D'Angelo, yeah,
D'Angelo,
Most Def,
Mos Def,
um, Big Crit, so many, man. Been
50 Cent,
blessed.
50 Cent, man. It's amazing because you're one of the musicians that I feel that is truly holding the fort when it comes to connecting the tree, the Black music tree, because I think a lot of the times you have you coming from, I don't even want to say that I think that you definitely have your feet rooted in jazz, but it's like to show people in the world that like musicians that come from this background have the ability to play with all these all-time like celebrities that are in the musical industry right now. And I think there's a lot to be said about that. And I think it's very inspiring to be able to talk to you today about a lot of that stuff and what you're doing today.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
To connect that, man, like how have you found like those experiences, being able to play with those people throughout the decades of your time here? And maybe you can just give us a little quick spiel about like you coming to New York for the first time, and how did these connections just arise, and what brought you here?
Man, I moved to New York straight out of high school, about 17, planning to follow in the footsteps of the greats, Wynton Marsalis, Roy Hargrove, Nicholas Payton, everybody was leading their great quintets, and I wanted to do the same thing. But chance had it that I do something different. Because my first professional gig was playing with Common, which was something that opened up my whole mindset as to what kind of music I would be doing. I wouldn't be limited to just saying, okay, I'm gonna play straight ahead, which I love, and I love to play it even today. And I've always loved it, but the spectrum has widened for me to just say, you know what, it ain't nothing but a few different chords and inversions, and the only thing that's really changing these genres is the beat. I want to do it all. I want to be able to express myself and get to as many people as possible. So I'm down to play whatever kind of music because I love it all. I love good music. I love Black music. I love, from Mahler to James Brown, from Tchaikovsky to Common and Mos Def. It doesn't really matter to me. To Clifford Brown, to Miles and Woody Shaw. I love them all. To the depth of my soul, to the depth of my heart. And I take it all in. And they're all important because they all have something to say artistically. So my approach and the way I see music from when I started to where I am now is to just make sure I'm being honest, honesty. I've heard certain scenarios where people not as honest and they do things just because they feel like it's cool. They don't really believe in it. If you believe in it, everybody knows, and it vibrates and it comes out and it captures you. It captures your heart. It captures your soul. And the audience feels it too. So for me, everything I try to do, I just make sure it's the most authentic version of myself. And I've been able to basically translate the way I hear music from R&B to hip hop, to straight ahead, to gospel, to whatever. Because I've had my stints in each one of those subgenres. You know, I remember doing like 2 years of just gospel music, from playing with Mo Horns to Israel Houghton to Stanley Crouch, and then the next year is played with Jay-Z and Eminem and Mos Def, and you know, be an in-house producer, you know, creating, you know, sound beds for 50 Cent and the whole G Unit from 2005 to like 2011. You know, to doing the music for Queen Latifah's show, doing the theme song. So, you know, to me, as long as I'm doing music, I'm good with that. As long as I'm creating with high-level creatives, creating with people who are, you know, trying to, you know, push the envelope with music. Or, you know what, you don't even have to be pushing the envelope. You just have to be genuine in what it is that you're playing. And I want to be a part of that. So, you know, it's all music to me. And I want to, you know, share that as much as I possibly can.
Man, it's crazy because I feel like there's always been a thing where people just try to like separate the music so much, especially Black music. And, you know, from your perspective, being someone that has been on all those stages playing, you know, I look at it as, when you look at jazz, you look at that being, you know, kind of like the grandfather or the thing, you know, and you know, you have all these other, you know, styles coming from it or stemming from it. And for me to ask you is that, like, how do you think about it? Do you think about it any differently compared to when you're on a, you know, playing a quintet gig, or when you're playing with 50 Cent? Like, is it any different in terms of the approach? And like, how do you build that like knowledge, you know, in terms of like, do you listen to it to be able to like, you know, figure out exactly what would be the best things to work in certain musical situations, you know? Interested to know more about that too.
Absolutely. You know, the way I look at music is I try not to separate the way I think about it. Even though there are certain nuances, certain differences, you know, you can't, you know, it's probably not advised to go on a stage with Beyonce or 50 Cent and try to, you know, play a bunch of bebop lines and try to outshine the lead artist. You have to know your role. You know what I'm saying? So in the context of knowing your role, it's what can you say that is definitive? What can you say that is creative? What can you say that vibrates with less notes? How can you say more with less? And I think that is something that, you know, Miles Davis was the king of. You know, how can you say more with less? When you show up with certain people, are they going to hear you? Are they, you know, annoyed that somebody's in the background playing a million notes, trying to outshine the rest of the arrangement? You know, knowing your place, I think that's one of the biggest things. And again, that takes a lot of soul searching and checking out the music, getting deep into the music. And I would recommend that, you know, if somebody's really interested in trying to bridge those gaps and go to different worlds, that you do study. To me, I look at it like, remember the Power Rangers? You know, how many Power Rangers was it, 5 or 6?
I thought it was like, I don't know, it could be 7.
Something like that. Anyway, you got, you know, you got 5 or 6 people that come together to create the Megazord, you know, to create this big entity, which I would say is you as a musician. So who do you love? If you're trying to do hip hop as a horn player, who do you know who's done that on the highest level? You think of Roy Hargrove. You know, I don't say myself, but I've done a lot in that.
Man, you're part of that lineage, you're part of that history as well.
You know, and you know, there's a certain amount of people who have done it well. And you say, okay, how does he do it? How does he voice the horns? You know, how does he or she interact with the lead vocalist? You know, and how do you get yourself, you know, how do you get yourself to fit in without overdoing it? And that takes a lot. Do you appreciate the music, or are you just there for a gig? It's very different. It's okay to just come in and read music. You know, that's a part of the gig too. But if you're there to be a creative and to add to the aesthetics of what the music is, you got to check it out. Do you appreciate rap, or are you just there just because it's cool to wear some cool shades? All of those things matter. Can you be authentic? Let me see. Yeah, for me, I'm not really changing the way I play. That's just the way I hear. I mean, I try to hear more like a vocalist would say something. So when I say something musically with my horn, whether that be my sound or the notes that I use, that is, again, the most impactful without doing the most, and for lack of a better word.
Yeah. Man, that's amazing for people to hear, because I think that there's definitely that kind of thing where people, even in a musical situation, don't think about the team compared to just like, because it's a music, what I mean? It's a team, man. It's a team.
Absolutely.
It's not just one person playing. And especially I find, like, especially in those like pop settings, I can imagine it's even more, it's more important in those settings too, to even think about more of the team aspect compared to just.
Absolutely, because a lot of the time, again, we play a music that's very egocentric. We've studied, we've done the Malcolm Gladwell 10,000 hours of practice. We've done 10,000 hours of not just practice, but composing and learning harmony and learning all of these things. So we've spent our life, and we want to show everybody, I can do this. Look what I can do. Look what I can do. Look what I can do. But at the same time, listen, there's 5 more people. There's 6 more people. It could be 20 more people. So, how do you, exist without being over the top? And you just have to be able to wait for your moment. And when your moment comes, when your solo comes, sometimes you comp, sometimes you stroll. But when it's your time to shine, boom, you hit it, quit it, take no prisoners. That's what Charles Tolliver used to tell me. Take no prisoners, go for it. It could be your last moment. So have fun, put it all out there. Do it, you don't, no wasted notes. You know what I'm saying? So to be able to know that is a very important skill, to be able to judge, okay, is it my turn? Is it your turn? And we can look at it like a crosswalk. Sometimes it's cool for everybody to walk together, but sometimes if you take the wrong turn and you get in a crosswalk, you're gonna get hit, and it's not gonna be cool for nobody. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's what I think about that, man. You got to be able to wait for your moment, and when it's your moment to shine, you kill it.
It's interesting because the more we talk about this just connects me to the fact that, like, music being so reflective of life and how we as human beings and how we navigate the world is naturally going to reflect in the music. And so to me, it seems like, it's not just great enough to be a great musician. It's like, you have to kind of develop a sense of self, to even be in these musical situations and to create the best music. Like, and you're someone that even with your album, some of the music that you wrote in tribute to, your hometown and some of the tragedies that happened there. And it's like connecting it to, like, real life situations, and also just how you feel inside as a human being. I want you to talk a little bit about that. And because it seems like you can't really separate the two.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that, man. And I try not to separate the two. Again, we have the sport of music, going hard, whether that be cutting sessions or whatever that is, that's amazing. And that's fun too. That's the sparring and having a good time and, checking to see what I know, what how we existed in the same plane. That's one thing. But the other part is, the emotional connection of what music really is. What is the why of why you play? What is it? Does it come from love? Does it come from indifference? Does it come from you just trying to stand out? Does it come from, you have a message that God has sent you? What is that? Is it family? I wrote music about my mother, wrote music about, like you said, my hometown, and I still do it because I'm big on social justice and impact and advocating for people who don't have, you know, the right platform or a big enough platform, or they can't speak for themselves. As an artist, I look at art as us being solutionists to the things that people can't really put into words. People can't really say the things that we can do in sound vibrations. We can touch your soul and you don't even know why. You can be levitating when you leave. You can come in one way and be transported to another realm of consciousness after you hear the vibrations of, you know, you playing, of me playing, whoever playing, you know, and people are changed and remapped, and their life can be a little bit easier to live with. I don't take it for granted that we have that power. You know, that's kind of one of the reasons why I named my album The Musician, magic and music, how we move, how we take people to another plane, man. And, you know, how we live really dictates what that feels like to somebody else, how they connects to it. You know, it's, again, no wasted notes, and whatever those notes are, you're very spiritual. Your family's ministry, my family's in the ministry. We talk about the anointing a lot. It's the thing that you can't even see, but it's the thing that makes the difference and destroys yokes and changes people and changes their the way they reflect on life, you know. And again, that's power. And that's the power that nobody even really knows, but they just know they need it. So, you know, every time we come out, every time we're creating, composing, playing, it's not a mystery as to the power that we yield in our little Excaliburs that we call our trumpets. You know what I'm saying? It's like we have the power to really just cut down bullshit, and that's for real.
Man, that was so deep for you to say that right there, because I feel like it's so well said, man. I feel like it connects to God, man. It connects to, you know, the source of, you know, where we all come from in terms of consciousness. And I do think that, yeah, man, your life experiences and the way you view life will naturally be something that you put out into the world. And I do believe that in terms of the anointing, man, it's like you can't really replace that. And I think that everybody has that uniqueness to them as well. But I do find it where, you know, people that come from our kind of backgrounds, you know, in the ministry or whatever, where there's some kind of connection to the, you know, to the spiritual, where, you know, there's some level of directness. You know, I think it's connected to everything, you know, everything that we do. You know, if we're talking about this stuff, or if we're playing, you know, or if we're writing, or, you know, like it comes out in all these different ways. And I think it's in connection to to our consciousness and our connection to, you know, the spiritual. And you know, thank you for putting it in that way, man. You know, I feel like people really need to hear that.
Man.
Yeah, man.
Sure. It's definitely what we do, whether it's jazz, whether it's hip hop, whether it's R&B, whatever it is, ska, it don't matter. You know, traditional, whatever music it is, you know, it's divine, and it's from another place, it's from another plane, and, you know, it's sacred, and at least that's the way I see it. You know, it's very sacred.
Wow. And, you know, it connects to, you know, our next point, because in connection to all of this and building all of this, I had this thing where I was thinking where, you know, we all have this natural thing that we have in us. And, you know, we basically put in the work to be able to bring it out into the world, right? We put in that work in terms of connecting with our instruments, because you know, the trumpet is technically an extension of ourselves, right? It's an extension of our consciousness. So it's like, it's in us, but we have to then put in the work to be able to output it into the world. And I think that's our goal, is to, because if we have it in us, knowledge, right? If we have that knowledge in us, that's not as useful as actually applying it and bringing it out into the world. And, you know,
that's the wisdom part of it.
Yeah, that's the wisdom. Yeah. And, you know, and I connect that because, so, you know, what do you do in terms of, you know, shedding, number one, but also how do you, you know, apply that information that you've, you know, accumulated throughout the years and, you know, your long career span, and just like, what are things that you do today that you find that are helping you to really spread that out into the world, in the way that you envision?
Hmm. When I guess for lack of better terms, I look at it almost maybe like a race car. The race car, they're working on all the tools in the shed. Uh,
Yeah.
Offline is sitting at the piano, learning different voices, learning, really um tacking into the things that I don't know. Right now, I'm listening to a lot of what's my man, Barry Harris. I'm back in that. At the moment, I'm back on bebop, listening to Miles and listening to I'm listening to Clack Stein and really trying to get back into that stuff, speaking the language, because it's so important that, again, I've been out here for a long time, and it's like I have a long span at looking at music one way, but then it's great to come back and just refocus. So that's where I am mentally, listening to, straight up bebop, Charlie Parker, like the Dizzy Gillespie, the 101, Jazz 101. That's where I am right now. That doesn't say that, the music that I've been exposed to, the music that I've created, doesn't matter. It's just the fact that sometimes you have to go back and relook at that painting, relook at that music, relook at that harmony, relook at, what was he really playing? When I first transcribed, it was just about the notes, but now harmonically, what really is that? And how do I move that, to a different tune? How do I really make my art a mechanism? How do I move it? How do I transfer it? So that's the way I'm kind of seeing music at the moment, in the context of what I'm practicing. I'm trying to be able to take what I'm listening to, and be able to translate that anywhere all the time. Because sometimes we learn something and it's like, cool, you know it, but you don't really know it. Like you were saying, and it takes a long time to actually be able to disseminate the information that you actually learn, that you actually know. Now it's like, oh yeah, I've known that for years, but now I can actually know it. I can actually, recite it to you and it be authentic and in depth. So that's when I'm spending a lot of time getting back to basics. Long story short, because it's greatness is gold, as a musician, harmonically, technically, and everything else. I guess more specifically, on the trumpet, it's long tones always, lip slurs always. It's putting things throughout the keys always. It's always working on 2-5-1s. Again, the most basic kind of things of how we put our lines together. That's where I am, yet again. So, I don't know if that answered the question, but that's where I am. That's where my mind is.
And I know you also studied with Charles Tolliver, right?
Mhm.
And in connection to that, are there still things that you learned from him that you have in your practice routine nowadays?
I guess Charles is more of a mentor to me. When whenever we got together, because I played in his big band, played on a few records. Shout out to Charles Tolliver. When I was first coming up, he put me in his band, and when he wasn't really playing, he used me as a stunt double to play all the solos. When I was in college, which was incredible, which changed me, and he just challenged me to always dig deep. Do not fuck around. Play the horn, get deeper into the harmony. What can you really say? And again, don't leave any note by chance. And to me, that's Charles. Harmonically, just seeing things I learned from him, or what I've observed what I've observed from Charles Tolliver is to be yourself. You know, ultimately the way he arranged things, the way he, you know, he had his big band, he had the small group, and the way he was able to make melodies, you know, soundscapes. That's what I've learned from Charles Tolliver. You know, not to mention the way, you know, once you start soloing, it's over, you know, just fire, 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 fire. Which is crazy because when I started going to the new school, I knew he was there, but I didn't know about him. You know what I'm saying? And when I learned about him, learned his history, you know, from, you know, him with Jackie McLean, him with, you know, with Herbie and everybody else was just like, wow, you know. And he's, you know, kind of, I don't want to say under the radar, but some, you know, people got to dig a little deep to know what's up with Charles Tolliver. You know, that Paper Man record and you know, Impact and all of those different things is just like, it's like the best of the best, you know. So I challenge any of y'all trumpet players, and not even trumpet players, arrangers and everybody else, you know, check out that music.
Man, Paper Man is one of my favorites, man. Like, you know, just like that album is just one of the blackest sounds you can find, you know what I mean? Like, it's like that joint, it's just like, and fire, and complete fire. I don't know, you know, sometimes I'm not, do you know what sign he is by any chance?
Charles,
Yeah.
I don't know, but I can find out for you.
Yeah, because it's interesting how, like, you know, he might be a fire sign, you know, he has that thing about his playing too, you know, the fierceness.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
totally. But
yeah.
but then you think about when Charles Tolliver in his time, who was his contemporaries? Freddie Hubbard,
yeah,
Woody Shaw, Lee
yeah.
Morgan. It's like, come on,
So
man.
yeah, he you know, he was in there. He had to, you know, push all that out. So I guess that's the healthy part to it, being in a generation where there's so much, you know, like high level of like music being played. Like that's one thing about the generations too, is that like, you know, because of that level, like that set level, everybody is basically, that whole generation is better off because of it, you know, because of the bar that set.
Healthy
You know?
competition.
Yeah, you know.
Sparring, you know, healthy inspiration from a peer. It doesn't even have to be a veteran. It could just be your man. It's like, it's inspiring to come hear you play. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, you know, it's a special thing. You know, that we're sharing. Again, it's all about communication, man. And if you say something to me that, if you might say something to me that says, hey, you need to practice. You might say that to me in so many notes, you know what I'm saying? And vice versa. And it's a healthy way that we continue to, you know, to add to this canon of incredible improvised music, man. We need it. We need it, you know, we need it.
That makes me think of that show we did at Smalls with Marquise, you,
and Theo.
So it's crazy.
Hey, man. That was a beautiful time, man. Just four trumpet players just playing great music. You know, I think maybe I was the oldest, maybe. Sheesh.
Yo, that's right. That's right.
I was the oldest. Me, Marquise, Theo, yeah, and you.
Oh, my bad.
Go ahead.
I was saying like that connects to like, that happens a lot, trumpet summits. Like I remember seeing a picture of you and Roy and Rose back in the day at Jazz Gallery. Like, what was that like? How was that as well?
Man, it was so beautiful. And shout out and rest in power, Roy Hargrove. He's just one of those people who was about connecting and listening. I mean, you know, you spent a lot of time with Roy. You know, again, very serious about the music, you know, in the most basic sense. And in the most basic sense, it creates the biggest beauty. That's what I think of Roy Hargrove. Every note, again, I keep saying no wasted notes. It's just like, man, just the epitome of dapper dopeness as far as what it is that could possibly come out of the instrument that little piece of brass called a trumpet. Roy Hargrove, decadence, rest in peace. I mean, I remember he was doing this trumpet series called was it Sound the Trumpet? Was it I think it was called Sound the Trumpet. And he wanted to have me and him and Sean Jones, him and LaRon Thomas, him and Ambrose. And he would do it every year. I remember one of the last ones with Marquise. And it was just a beautiful thing. There's this one picture out there. It's me, Sean Jones, Maurice Brown, LaRon Thomas, Roy, and it might have been one more person on there. And it's just it was just the epitome of who Roy was, of what he thought about how the music is progressing in terms of the trumpet. All of us, I can speak for myself more so than anything. As a trumpet player, I wanted to be like Roy Hargrove, coming up. Because why? Because I thought he was cool. He was young. My boy Eric Gilkey, when I was in the 7th grade, brought this album, to our band class. And it was Tenors of Our Time. And, this young dude, I'm like, man, he looks pretty cool. You put that record on, just bananas. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, wow. And then he'll go from that and play with D'Angelo, go from that and play with Common, go from that and play with John Mayer and everybody else in between, and I was, as an artist, totally inspired by that, so much so that I played with, a lot of those same people, because he couldn't do it all. So you need a youngster to, stand in for me, so, which was a beautiful thing. And I'm very grateful and thankful to Roy Hargrove for that, for everything that he left and everything that he said and everything that he did while he was here on the earth, man.
Bro, it's so heavy, because I look at, Roy as being like the modern version of what Miles Davis represented, and you look at, just the span of the career, the amount of music that he put out in this, the time that he was here.
Prolific.
Yeah, it's like every album, right? And then you look at, the people, the trumpet players he was able to inspire after, because for me, same thing, bro. Heard Roy for the first time. And I know a lot of people like Maurice, Ambrose, have similar stories, and you, I guess we all as a collective are all like pushing, his legacy in terms of what he stood for that level of seriousness in the music, and also not viewing music such as like a set thing, and being open, to all styles of music. And
music, exactly. Music is like a canvas, and it's not just 3 colors. It's So it's all the colors,
Yeah.
So yeah.
So it's deep to hear more stories of people's first times hearing Roy play, because I feel like it's the more it's said, the more it imprints for our history of how much he meant to all trumpet players, and everybody in the world, man. He's had just a huge impact. His music lives forever, man. And I'm so grateful as well for the time that I got to spend with him. I spent like maybe the last 2 years of his life. I got to know him a little bit more, and those were some of the greatest moments, man. Because I always looked up to him, growing up, and getting to see him in action. Like, he always taught by example. He just was it. He just embodied it.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Absolutely. So one of the greatest lessons that I got from Roy, you'll probably laugh at this, is
Brian's bounce.
Brian's bounce. Was it D flat blues?
D flat, yeah.
So when I was about 15 or 16, he came through St. Louis at this spot. He brought the quintet to this spot called Sproul's in St. Louis. And they was like, yeah. It was the first time I met him. And he was like, okay, cool. We're going to play the blues. And they played it in D flat. As a trumpet player, if you're not ready, it'll get you. So that in itself was like, okay, we're going to learn today. You're going to learn today.
You're going to learn today. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So just stuff like that, man. I don't even know if it really happens like that anymore. Where it's just like, okay, come sit in and see what happened. This is what it's like to be on the platform or on the stage that I yield, from Roy. I'm killing this. I don't care what kid is. I don't care what the scenario is. I'm killing it, and I'm gonna get to my own shit, no matter what. Can you get to your own shit in the key of D flat?
Yeah.
Can you do that? You know what I'm saying? Of course, you could do it in B flat. You could do it in F. You could do it in E flat. Cool. But D flats, that's grown up. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
grown up keys. Yeah. And it's interesting to me, like how Roy had like a certain energy, right? And a certain vibe, a certain mindset, a certain thing that became a killer instinct. And I want you to talk about that because you have that too. I mean, I feel like all great players have that, but it's like it comes to a point where you can't really teach how to, like, when the moment is there to like put all, like, go in, like do you think what would be the best way for you to even explain that, like that kind of mindset to, whatever it is, I gotta kill this. This is the time for me to do it. Like that sense of urgency.
Man, that and is you just said it. The sense of urgency, the sense of gratitude, the sense of this is the gift that God has gave me to give to others. It's almost like, it's like a soda being shaken up and is just waiting to explode, the cap getting taken off, and it just, pops like some champagne or something like that. It is, I think the biggest thing is the gratitude and the understanding that, you know what, it could be somebody else, but this gift has been given to me. So I'm gonna share it. I'm gonna let my light shine. When I think of the great people, and it's almost, sometimes it's almost a foreshadowing. We lost him early, you know what I'm saying? And it's like you were saying, he's so prolific in the time that he spent here, and I think about, people like Clifford Brown as well, and Booker Little as well, that it just seemed like it was something, fueling that greatness for it to come sooner than maybe others would ever even achieve. But that fire is something that's like, come on, man. You could be doing anything in the world, but this is what you chose. So, I want to be one of the greats. So I'm gonna try to emulate what the greats have left, but at the same time, make them my own. And I don't know. I'm grateful for the opportunity. So I'm gonna give it my all. That's just what it was. My dad always told me, get out there, do, listen, get out there and do what you came to do. Don't waste my time. Don't waste your time. You could be playing sports. You can be doing anything, but you've chosen this. So delve in it as deep as you possibly can. Whatever the technical ramifications are, whatever the politics of it all, do you and leave it all on the stage.
Wow, man, that's so deep. The idea of gratitude being like the thing that actually, jump starts this like fire kind of like passion or desire to achieve that greatness, and sometimes I think that's well said, gratitude, because it's an opportunity, and if you've done all this work to be here, like what else do you have to lose, kind of thing, right? It's like you've come this far. Why not give it everything? Why not, take it all the way there, right?
Well, man, it's like being in the finals, in NBA finals or something like this. You done made it all the way here, and now you don't want to take the jump shot? Seriously?
Exactly.
You don't want the final shot?
Mm.
What we doing? You know what I'm saying? And that's the way I look at it. Every time we get on the stage, every time we had the opportunity to perform in front of people, it's like, man, this is my jump shot. It's the last one. Here we go. Here we go.
Wow. Yeah, I love that. I love that. I think that I feel like sometimes people think there's something specific that would, change the way they play, but sometimes it actually takes a mindset. It takes, you know, a certain approach that
It's
can
the
actually
why,
change
bro.
everything.
It's the why.
Why?
You know, we
Yeah.
got to figure out our why and why we do whatever it is that we do. It don't even have to be music. But if you've chosen music, you know, why? You know, why do you play this instrument? This instrument is grueling, you know. The great Wynn Marsalis, you know, he talks about it all the time. This is a noble beast of of an instrument, man. It takes a lot. It's not for the faint of heart. It keeps us coming back every day, you know. And it's like a woman. You spend time with her, it's beautiful. Stop spending time with her,
Ooh,
things
yeah.
things change up a little bit, and everybody else around you starts to notice that something's going wrong at the crib. You ain't spending time, you know. So honestly, it's like, man, it's a gift. It's a gift. How you going to use that gift?
Yeah. Wow. Beautiful, man. Beautiful. You know, it's great to have you here, man. You know, I remember, you know, how's Keyon Harrold Jr. doing, man? I know
Oh
he's in music
man,
as well.
man, he's into music. Keyon Jr., he's great, man. He's into the music production, playing drums. Did a gig the other day with his friends. Did a trio gig. Was happy to see that. He's well. He loves you, man.
Hey, man, I love him too, man. You guys just have such an unbreakable bond. It's so beautiful to see, man. And I remember that incident that happened, you know, maybe a couple of years ago or however long that was, man. And I just, you know, I look at that as similar to what we were talking about, life experiences, you know, like creating a room for, you know, things to happen in terms of to reflect in the music in terms of the consciousness, right? And you know, I'm curious, are y'all doing any, you know, music projects coming up or anything like that, or can we look
Oh
forward to that?
man. Yeah, me and my son, we're always collaborating. He's always inspiring me. He's doing, you know, 5 and 6 beats a day. You know, he's being super creative, and I'm happy to see that. But we are collaborating. He hits me up sometimes, Dad, you think you can record this you think you can record this? Dad, pull up to my studio. You know,
Yeah.
I'm always happy to see that. Always happy, you know, to see him find himself in music, you know.
Yeah, man, I look forward to that, man. I look forward to, you know, checking out some of that stuff. You know, I feel like I just actually just recorded my second album, and my brother's on it.
Oh, beautiful. I can't
Thank you,
wait.
bro. Thank you, bro. Yeah, man. It's gonna be out soon, bro. But and so my brother's on it, and you know, and
Wow.
yeah. So yeah, my brother plays drums, and we grew up in church together, and like
Mhm.
he really understands my upbringing, you know, like, and that, like, I feel like there's something about family and music too, you know. Who's it who did that? Can't remember his name, but there's something about family and music where it's like there's something in terms of the chemistry that's going on too musically that you can't really replace any other way else. So that's part of
Instinctual.
it. Yeah, you know.
Mhm.
So, you know, I definitely anything that has to do, like, any brothers in music, I always like who are some brothers in the music,
You
like
got Michael Rodriguez,
Rodriguez,
Lucas, and
Lucas, Curtis, and my dude,
Zakai.
it's a yeah, who else? There's a Mark Whitfield and Davis.
Okay. Yeah.
Uh, there's some other ones, but if you find that it
DJ and
comes up,
Marcus
you
Strickland.
you too, man.
Yeah,
Keon and
my brother
Emmanuel.
Emmanuel plays with Gregory Porter. It's always fun when I get a chance to come out and hit with them. It's always a beautiful time.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's like it's actually pretty common, you know, but it's beautiful, you know, when that happens, because like there's some other things that can also arise that, you know, really brings out a lot of beauty in the music. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Stories, you know, the history. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, man. So any other things coming up that we can look forward to? You know, any other?
And I have new music coming very, very soon. I'm super excited about that. It's been a while since I dropped something. You know, I work on a plethora of projects, but it's been a while since I've dropped a new album. So that's coming really soon.
Bro, that's
Super
gonna be
excited about that.
crazy. Yeah. Is there a title or anything like that already?
It's coming.
Ah, okay, okay, yeah, yeah. I'm
It's,
waiting.
it's coming. It'll be soon. I'll start releasing singles in the next few weeks, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing, man. Amazing. Well, I look forward to that. You gonna be in New York anytime soon? Any shows around the area or LA or?
Man, I just played New York. I think the next time I'm back in New York is in August,
Okay.
performing. But something might come up. We'll see.
Where is that in August?
Blue Note.
Oh, perfect. I probably might be around then actually. So yeah, if anything.
Second week. We have Newport coming up.
Yeah,
Telly
I might see you there.
Jazz Festival, the Napa Jazz Festival, Blue Note Napa Jazz Fest. I'll be there. And I'll be out in California, Leimert Park Jazz Festival, which will be super soulful and super dope. And then I'll be in St. Louis at the Music at the Intersection Festival in September, then the Pittsburgh Jazz Festival. Then I'll be in, Chicago at Classic at the Jazz Showcase after that. So we're moving around and gearing up, for the new music to come.
Man, I'm excited. It's great to hear, man. And look forward to seeing you in probably in August. I might come through because I should be around. I'm in the Bahamas, in and out usually, but it's always good to talk to you, man.
Sir, man, I gotta come down there and visit, man.
Bro, anytime, bro.
I'll meet the family. Come chill.
Yeah, bro. Anytime. Actually, anytime you're around, if you want to figure out more, because the tickets are like super cheap and it's just like 3 hours away. Like people think it's like further than it actually is. So yeah, bro. Anytime, man. We got fams here. I'll connect you with everybody, bro.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. My man. Also, I gotta get you to St. Louis, man.
Bro.
Yeah.
I actually haven't been yet. That's interesting.
Okay. I think we can change that.
Yeah, man. Let's talk about it.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, man.
Well, bro, I love you, man.
Love you too, bro.
See you, steadily progressing and growing musically, as an artist, as an entity. I love what you're doing with the In the Shed project. It's a beautiful thing. The information that people are getting, the inspiration that people are getting is, second to none. You can't get this in school. You can't get these, you can't get this part of it, because it's the real life. And the soul connection. So, bro, proud of you. Keep it moving. Hey, keep it going, bro.
Appreciate the support, man. It means so much, man. Definitely got to keep it going. That's the only thing we can do from here, bro.
Yeah, so what's your joint? Divine Design? What is it? Divine
True Design. Yeah, True Design.
True Design.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Next one, Island Dreamer. That's what we're looking to do. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So yeah, man. I'll keep you in touch about that stuff too, man.
Okay. Can't wait, bro. Man. Can't wait.
Yes, sir. Thank you, bro. Appreciate you a lot, man.
For sure. Much love. Thanks for having me, man.
Man, this was great, bro. This was great, man. You just blessed us.
Oh, man.
Yeah, bro.
Yes, sir.
Talk soon, man. I'll be in touch.
For sure. Peace and love.
All right.